All right, so let's talk about the Unreal Cache export. First thing we do, we make sure that our project's set up correctly. I'm pointing to the root of my project for Unreal. Great. So let's have a look at what I have set up here as a test. Let's go to timeline. Timeline, yes. And you'll see that this is an animation. There's two big things going on here. There's a cloth simulation, so vertex deformation, and then just objects with rigid body animation, all right? And I want to export both of these out for Unreal. So the first thing I'm going to do, I want to grab all the containers that are transform animation. Okay, looks good. I'm going to go to the Unreal Cache export, add a new group. We'll call this barrel. I'm going to add a little extra to it. Barrel export, and we're going to set it to a GLB. GLB is very good with transformation animation. And then we're going to bake animation, use frame range. Then I also want to change the file name to barrel export, and I'm going to append that to the base path. So this is where it's going to save it inside of Unreal. You can browse to where you want to save it. Okay, that's all good. Now we're going to make a second group. We're going to call this cloth export. Cloth export. Now I'm going to select all the pieces of cloth. I'm going to add them to the list, and then I'm going to change this. Okay, so we're going to use ABC, which is a limbic, and a limbic is very good with vertex animation. So we're going to call this cloth export, and you'll see in here that there's a global scale. For Alembics, I've noticed if vertices are too close to each other, they'll kind of collapse. So I made an export or a scale exporter so that you could make it 100 times bigger and you won't have the vertexes collapsing on each other, and then in the game just scale it down by 100. I know it's a little hacky, but unfortunately that's how Alembic is working right now inside of Unreal. I'm going to append the group names. Now it's caches cloth export, and that's where it's going to save. First, we're just going to export them one at a time. So I'm going to export the barrel. I'm going to uncheck cloth export. Oh, duh. I didn't add anything to the export list. All right, there it is. Now export. Give it a moment. Great. Now I'm going to go into Unreal, get rid of him. We don't need him anymore. Import caches. Barrel export is done. Let's go to the cache folder. We'll go to barrel export, and there you will see it. So if I place it down, and then I do an animation asset, I can find it, and then I can do its initial position. And look at that. Super cool. I'm going to get rid of that for a moment, go back to Blender, uncheck the barrels, and we're going to go to cloth. Export this one. And let's give it a moment. And done. Go back into Unreal, import caches. Cloth export is importing. You can do this all at the same time. I prefer to just do it a little bit one by one, just to make sure nothing breaks. But you're more than welcome to just brute force it, export as many of these little groups, and then import them all at the same time. And it'll work just fine. All right, so give that a moment. Vertex caching is always a little bit slower, but it will be done in a moment. There we go. Getting closer to the finish line. And almost there. Come on. There we go. Perfect. Now let's go look for it. It's in caches. It'll be cloth export. Drag it down. And if I change the initial position, ooh, this one's a little more finicky. It's not like the animation one. But you can see that it's there. I actually went ahead and made a timeline with a previously exported one, so I'll just show you that. Where are you? There you are. And there it is. I have it over here, actually. So I'm scrubbing a timeline that I have off screen. I've added them to it. And look at that. That's pretty sweet, isn't it? Let me go back. And there you go. That's how you do two different types of caches inside of USync. All right, enjoy.